Salt Lake's #1 hit music station.
97.1 ZHT.
Oh, look at that. Now this is a good intro song for our guest. Lyn Christian from SoulSalt in studio. Do you know who this is? Have you heard this song before?
I've heard this one before. We
Okay.
need Jess here. My Jess to tell us. Last time was Guns N' Roses last time.
Yeah, it was. Welcome to the jungle. And I figured bad to the bone.
Bad to the bone.
Because you are a baddie.
Oh, big time.
Right? Now, Lyn is a life and business coach, and you've heard her on our show before, and she's truly amazing. And we say that some people are born to do what they do, and that's you.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And Wayne actually said it off the air a second ago. He said, I'm a bowl full of problems, Lyn, a bowl full of problems. And I'm like, Wayne, who isn't? That's what, I mean, see, that's what you've got to get past, I think, is when people are like, either they think that they have too many problems or they don't think they have a problem at all. But everybody's got their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And would you consider yourself, with the life coaching aspect of it, I would say that because we've been to you, Jess and I have been to you a couple of times. You seem very much like a therapist. Like when I talk to you, that's what I mean. And Jess made the comment that she's gotten more out of the last couple of sessions with you than she has in years of therapy.
Yes,
I
am not a therapist. A coach lives in that self-help space between therapy and you do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a special set of skills that use, in my case, neuroscience and positive psychology, and life experiences that we bring to the table, where I can use strategies, help you reframe, look at instead of looking at the bowl as we have a bowl of problems, it's like somewhere in there is a hero who wants to have the hero's journey be the story of your life. But you don't know how to find that hero on your own, because the old Southern wisdom is, if you live inside the jar, it's hard to read your own ingredients. So a coach is someone who can help you read the ingredients. You decide where you want to go, and then we work with you to strategize how do you go from where you are to where you want to be.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It
It's
really
powerful.
is.
And I'll tell you, like, the therapy has been, but this has gone hand in hand. I mean, this has been like the full, it's been life-changing for
We're
me.
very
Compliments
action-oriented. It's like get in, find a paradigm that can be shifted, and then what do we do with it? So our job is raise awareness and then hold you accountable to doing something with that awareness if it's appropriate at that time.
Let's talk about multitasking.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
So I think a lot of people do it, and a lot of people think they do it really well.
Well, we're obsessed with it. Like this country, we're obsessed with how great we are at multitasking. We're getting all this stuff done, but we're really not.
And if we take multitasking out and put sex in that, so those last two sentences that you guys did do that sometime, it fits as well.
That's funny.
So
I'm like, where is she going with this?
right.
Where is Lyn
What's
going
up?
with this?
What's up,
but
Lyn?
multitasking is something we think we do. We all do,
Yeah.
and we think we do better than maybe we are.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that some of us, and there's many reasons that we get into multitasking. We think speed is a strategy. It's not. Fast is not a strategy. It's a degree of speed, right? And so sometimes we're trying to do more in less time, but what we're doing is fracturing our focus, and we are actually not producing things as quickly. And we now have scientific studies to tell us that multitasking, doesn't work because our brain is actually focused on something, and then when you go to something else, it is watered down. It comes out of that little pipe that it's going down and has to go down another pipe, or it's fractured. So you're getting maybe 5% efficiency on one side and 10% efficiency out of 100% potential, right? So here are the statistics. We found this out, sadly, after 9/11. By 2003, the FBI was trying to get a new case management software project off the ground. It failed abysmally. What we did, though, because we had scientists and engineers who were also humble and smart, they started studying why. And it's because when we do dual tasks, we get dual task interference. So let's say that you have one project, the percent of time and focus you have available is 100%. You go to two projects, the percent of time available is 40% per project, meaning 20% evaporates because you're moving from one task to the other. So it takes a while for your neurochemistry to acclimate to the other thing.
Interesting.
And it also fractures. When we did the exercise in my office, you're going down a lane of working on something, and then you have to jump to something else. By the time you come back to finish what you were starting on initially, you've lost 24% potential productivity because you were going from, it was just simple. You were writing the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s in the months of the year. just to show you the simulation. And by the time you finished the 1, 2, 3s, here's one. What's the first month? January. And by the time you got to A, you realized you're using a different part of your brain. Then you went back to 1, you could do 2, and then February. But you can see now as I'm jogging back and forth, it's fracturing my focus. And so it takes, even though it's a millisecond, 24% of my focus could have been, I could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and given you a dozen numbers.
Right.
In the time it took me to jump from 1 to January to A to 2. Does that make sense?
It does. And is this one of the things that's a really common thing that's talked about when you're doing the business coach?
Yes,
in the
business coach,
place?
personal life coaching, because what we find is a lot of us do have these, I would say they're superstitions, cram in more, or we have this drive to be more, do more.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be the hero of your own life when you feel like you have to fight 3 dragons at a time.
Okay, so what happens to your brain after you multitask for a long time? Because I know it's changed me
Yes.
big time.
You can
So
be
that I
addicted to it.
struggle. Yeah, I struggle
You
with
can be
that.
addicted to it. And so what we have found is we have the I disorder with an I like iPhone, iPad, iTunes in front of it. And that means that, unfortunately, most people can only focus now for 5 minutes or less. It used to be 15, before that closer to 20.
Right.
But now we have to retrain you to focus. It's just like if you've trained yourself and you have neural networks now that are telling you, fracture your, try to get more done by doing 2 things at once, reading the newspaper and brushing your teeth, that sort of thing. That's not like sipping coffee and reading the newspaper.
Right.
So we have conditioned ourselves to be distracted. And to pull ourselves back, we have exercises where you can learn to focus. Because, here's something for your audience. Put a timer on, focus on something for 5 minutes. If that was easy, move it to 10, then move it to 15. But keep focused on that one thing until the timer goes off.
Okay.
And then see how long you can go. Eventually, you could go. I've had a client who was a therapist who eventually got to the place where he could focus on something for 2.5 hours. So if you're writing, say you're writing a book, and you are trying to write it in 5-minute excerpts. I did that once. My first book, I wrote in 5-10-minute excerpts because that's all I had.
Okay.
It took 6 years before it was published.
Wow.
So, yeah, if you have that long timetable, fine. But if you're writing something or working on something that really you want to have done faster, you have to learn to stretch your ability to focus.
And I wonder about, our kids growing up in this world.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't even have a chance. They don't know what focus
Have the
is,
chance.
you
No.
know?
Yeah, that's right. And so having those downtimes, turning off the phones, being able to talk, having meetings that are phoneless, having no screen in front of you, because as soon as a screen comes in, we're distracted.
And it's detrimental. So you're mentioning all of this like you can't get anything accomplished, but think about on a personal, we're talking about family, on
Right.
that. Those relationships, how detrimental it is to your spouse with your
Yeah.
kids, and you're not able to focus
Yeah.
on the things that matter, and that is your true
That connection.
Right,
relationship.
Yeah, so our mirror neurons know. You felt this before when somebody's talking to you and then they hurry and look at their text. What happens to your connection? And the connection that we want to have, where trust is built, we know this, is in the prefrontal cortex. It's right behind your third eye and your third eye chakra and your forehead. That's the part of the brain that when you're connected to somebody actually drops to the 40,000 neurons that are in your heart.
Oh, wow.
And that's where trust and connection are made. So when you break that with a screen or a distraction, you actually break the contact with that other person for that moment, or then it takes some time to repair when
There's
they know
a
you're...
wall going up.
Yep, there's
Yeah.
a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, you're amazing.
Isn't that? Oh,
You're
is.
amazing. So if people are listening right now, and whether it's from the business standpoint or personal standpoint, as far as a life or a business coach, how can they get in touch with you?
Great. So we have some things happening. We have a 5-day challenge that we're going to start. So you guys will have that in your link. They can start and get little bite-sized chunks of how to rewire their focus.
Okay.
That's free. We also, and some of you may have known this or may not know this, I have a TEDx talk that's going to be happening in September at Kingsbury Hall.
Ooh.
There are still tickets
Sweet.
available. And so I'll be talking a little bit about how to stay true to yourself, how to listen to your heart, your gut, your head, not be so distracted. So that's coming up. And then they can follow us on Facebook. They can follow us. They can get, probably the best thing to do is get our newsletter
Okay.
off of our SoulSalt website. Follow us there. We're on Instagram. We always have things coming up. We have a conversational intelligence for women in leadership starting in January. We have a Be True project coming after the TEDx talk. So just stay in tune with us.
Congratulations on the TEDx talk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's huge.
It is. It's going to be so fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then you can find her information under the Frankie and Jess page at frankieandjess.com.
Salt Lake's #1 hit music station.
97.1